11:30. Brett Norsworthy, typically with us at 12:30 on Thursdays. He had a conflict today, so we've moved him up to 11:30. Then Rob Pate will be on at 11:45.
This Maction's getting traction.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I've gotten text messages from people telling me they want to go with us if we make this happen.
We're going to see if we can work it out next season for Maction, because the MAC plays a lot of games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
How many MAC games we can hit in one night, or maybe in 2 days?
Mm-hmm. It'd be cool if we could hit 4 in 2 days.
Oh, that'd be big. And we could work it out. And we have other people that are asking if they can go along. I think Brett Norsworthy would be great for the trip.
Yes.
Because he could tell a story about every single stop.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rodney Orr would be great.
Rodney would be fantastic. Take the old Texan that he is.
Yeah, he can bring his hot pants and his dancing shoes.
And now we know that Conrad can cut a rug based on what he did yesterday.
Yeah, he did, man, 16 times.
I showed Leanne the video of Conrad and Molly out in the hallway going through the routine prior to the show yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, Dorothy enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, that was good quality entertainment, hopefully, for those of you that watched on YouTube. I think we just ought to get Conrad to, like, dance during the show. Like, not even for,
dance breaks, just random.
Yeah, like he comes back and he's just like, you know.
We'll get that thing sponsored.
Mm-hmm.
Guess we'll have to do a Christmas toy drive then, if you want to see me dance some more.
Hey.
All kidding aside, I had people yesterday tell me, obviously not to the extent of all the things that were done to you yesterday, but they did bring up the idea of maybe we could do a toy drive.
Yeah. Oh, I had people saying, oh, well, you could wear this costume and you could, oh, yeah, we got some creative people.
Okay. All right.
Your Auburn jersey arrived, by the way.
Wonderful. Can't wait.
So that will be the final portion of Conrad officially paying everything off. Next Friday, he will have to wear the Cam Newton jersey, and he'll be painted in orange and blue. And if Auburn wins the Iron Bowl, then he will have to, not makeup involved, but he'll have to wear the jersey the entire next week of the broadcast here on the show. Let's go to Tuscaloosa. Before we got to talk the Iron Bowl, we got to talk about Eastern Illinois. And yes. Rodney Orr is going to break down Eastern Illinois for us, the too deep depth chart, right now on this program. Go, Rodney.
Educate us.
I'm just hoping they don't have Jimmy Garoppolo or Tony Romo at quarterback. But, you know,
that would be it.
I don't know a lot about them, to be honest with you.
Well, that's about all I know, Rodney. So you're not in a minority there. All right, so let's talk about what happened against Oklahoma in regards to the outcome. The 3 turnovers is a little bit too much for Alabama to overcome, but they still had a chance, Rodney, the final drive of the game, but it came up short.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, the crazy thing, you know, one of the things that when we kind of previewed the game was that we thought the turnover margin, you look at both teams, Alabama was +10 going in. Oklahoma was -5. And so you looked at that and you thought, wow, you know, this could be a game where, you know, Alabama forces Mateer into some turnovers and kind of puts this game away fairly easily, you know, relatively easily. And just didn't happen. I mean, Oklahoma flipped the script. And I thought, you know, and I know I got a little bit of backlash on Tighter Insider for saying this, but yeah, I thought Alabama defensively played extremely well. You know, I thought they were physical. They did it. They did a fantastic job for the most part. But I did think that when you look at Oklahoma's defense and you look at their special teams, I thought they laid the wood. I mean, I thought they brought it. I thought they were physical. I thought they were intense. And you know, maybe Alabama in those areas didn't quite match it, because I saw not only did Alabama fumble a couple of times when they were hit, but they put the ball on the ground, you know, multiple times, and Oklahoma jarred it loose. So I really thought, you know, in those areas, Oklahoma was the more physical team.
Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider, joining us on 3-Man Front on the Higginbotham Hotline. I want to ask you about Ryan Williams. I'm sure you've had a lot of comments at Tighter Insider with your subscribers, but Ryan Williams, there's the opinion of some that he's maybe a little bit soft at times, or doesn't invite contact. What do you think is going on with Ryan Williams? Is that avoiding contact? Is that worried about having another turnover? Try to make sense of it and what you're hearing from your subscribers.
Well, probably a little bit of all of that. Plus, I think he's been beat up a little bit, banged up. I know there was an injury a couple of weeks ago that he hadn't practiced that kind of limited him that week, even though he played. I don't remember exactly which game it was. Might have been Tennessee or it might have been LSU. Can't remember, but either one. So he has been a little banged up over the course of the season. So I'm sure he's protecting himself a little bit. And plus, he had that hard hit to the head. I guess it was a concussion earlier. So those things have certainly taken a toll. And there has certainly been people who have questioned his physicality, his willingness to take hits. And again, that's kind of been something that's been bandied about quite a bit out there. And I think too, I think this is fair to say. It looks like to me he's lost some confidence. I mean, it just looks like he's misjudged some balls. He's dropped some balls. And I think that certainly he's certainly not the same guy he was earlier last year.
Rodney, a lot of people that follow Alabama football is getting to know Daniel Hill pretty well. He's getting a lot more carries. He had 60 yards against Oklahoma last week. And talk to us about Daniel Hill for those that do not know a lot about him, his recruitment, where he came from, and just what you've seen so far with him getting these opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Hill, it's interesting. He's obviously he's from Meridian, and actually, Pat and Landrum, show you how far I go back. I covered his dad in high school back in the mid '80s.
Serious?
Yeah, his dad was if you had a 5-star back then, 5-star rankings which they really didn't do it that way back then. He was a 5-star. He was a kind of one of those outside linebacker / defensive end types that eventually grew into a down lineman, a defensive lineman. Demetrius Hill. He was an incredible player. Of course, you remember back then they had what they called Prop 48.
Oh yeah.
Which if you weren't academic, yeah. And he ended up going. He was coming to Bama. He told me he was coming to Bama, and but he ended up going JUCO. And I thought then again Alabama would get him, and Mississippi State got in at the last minute. So I think his dad has always been a huge Alabama fan. I think that played an impact or influenced him, Daniel Hill, when he decided to pick Alabama over South Carolina and a few others. But yeah, Daniel Hill is, obviously, like I said, from Meridian, and he's got a lot of power. He runs with power. But I think the one thing about Daniel Hill is he can do some different things. He's really talented as a receiver. He catches the ball extremely well, can do a lot of different things. And I really liked what they did with him down on the goal line, just direct snapping it to him. And if you watch that, I mean, he got hit like at the line of scrimmage, and he carried those guys 3 or 4 yards deep into the end zone. So, it'll be interesting to see if we see more of Daniel Hill in terms of carrying the ball in these upcoming games.
With all of the implications that could come out of the Iron Bowl in a couple of weeks in Auburn, for Kalen DeBoer, and not speculating, nothing beyond that, but for Kalen DeBoer, where does this game rank as far as his Alabama tenure, his importance?
Yeah, I think it's huge. And I say that now, but I don't want to I'm not trying to be an alarmist or anything,
right,
or people jump to conclusions. What I mean is by that is right now everything's still in front of you. But you guys know this rivalry, and you know how important it is. You go down to Auburn and you lose to a 1-6 team, 1-6 in the SEC. Now, granted, you could say this year and last year Auburn should have won a lot of those games. That they were close games. This is not a bad Auburn football team by any stretch of the imagination. But if you go down there and you get knocked out of the playoffs by a 1-6 Auburn team, you would have to say, okay, you kind of collapsed last year in November, losing to Oklahoma, team you should have beat. And then this year you lose to Oklahoma. You put yourself in a position where you have to go down to Auburn and win that game. And if you lose that one, the heat turns up. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we thought FSU was a tough week. After that, I think the heat would turn up in that regard in terms of just the chatter that we heard. Now, on the flip side of that, you guys know this as well. After that week when they lost to FSU, and I said this on this segment here, that if you beat ULM, you beat Wisconsin, and then you go find a way to beat Georgia, all of a sudden the narrative changes. That happened. That played out that way. And now it's kind of the same thing. You take care of business obviously Saturday, and then you go down to Auburn and you win, and you go to the SEC championship game, let's say, and you win there. Then all of a sudden nobody's really talking about what happened against Oklahoma. So the narrative changes again. So we'll just kind of have to see how it plays out.
Rodney Orr from Tider Insider joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, joins us every Thursday talking Alabama sports here on Three Man Front. So speaking of that pressure under Kalen DeBoer, and you mentioned the Florida State game, and you've heard the same stuff. You've been around the football team all season, that after that loss, the team basically recommitted itself. And they went on that incredible run, and they uncharacteristically turned the ball over a lot against Oklahoma. What has been the mood around that program, Rodney, of the people that you talked to and you being around the program this week as they now try to refocus for the final 2 games of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right now is just, hey, you know what? It's still all in front of you. You didn't play well. You beat yourself, really, in that game against Oklahoma. Really a game that you probably should have won by 10 or 14 points. So, you just got to go in and refocus again. Do what you did the last time. And I think that's really key. And I think to me, and again, this is just my opinion, is it's going to start with Ty Simpson, because I don't think Ty's been quite as sharp. Now, he had some good numbers. Don't get me wrong, 28 of 42, 326, an interception, but he turned the ball over. I mean, he could have thrown for 200 yards and not turned the ball over, and Alabama wins a game. So I think Ty's got to get that mental edge back, the command, the confidence that he was playing with. I think that's really important. He handled the environment at Athens really well, but I think he also went in there with a very confident mindset. And again, I'm not sure he's playing with that kind of confidence right now. So it's going to be key for him when they go to Auburn. How's he going to handle that environment? Because it's going to be a buzz that night. I assure you, you guys know that. So I think it starts with Ty. As they start to move forward.
Speaking of Ty, we got the Eastern Illinois Panthers, and I know that there's limited information available about the Panthers, but how much has Ty Simpson leaned on his father, the head coach of UT Martin, who beat Eastern Illinois earlier in the season in overtime?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. Actually, to be honest with you and to be straightforward, I had no idea that UT Martin and Eastern Illinois had already played, but I'm certain that his dad has filled him in on that, been a good source. But I would think, and again,
Rodney, until this interview started, sorry to interrupt, I had no idea either.
Yeah, he was trying to get you, just like he was trying to get me.
You checked the schedule.
Yeah, I checked the schedule. They played on November the 1st, 27-20 in overtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look. Let's hope this one doesn't go into overtime. I don't think there's any threat of that, to be honest. But no, I like I said, I mean, I think that it's really. But as far as Ty playing, a lot this week, I think he has been a little banged up. I think the Missouri game when he kind of took a shot, I'm not sure he's been 100%. I'm not saying it's really impacted his play, but I would think that if you could limit Ty some, let him get into a little bit of a rhythm, maybe play in the first quarter or so, and hopefully be up in pretty sizable margin, then get Keelan Russell and Austin Mack in the game and let them play a lot. That's what I would hope that would happen, because you never know. I mean, you never know when you're going to need those guys, and they haven't had a ton of action this year. So I think probably we might see a lot of Austin Mack and Keelan Russell in this game.
Typically at this time, we ask you for a prediction. Obviously, Alabama's going to win the football game. Did you put a number out there on your TV show this week?
Yep.
You did?
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah. I picked it 63-0.
Hey!
Okay. 7 touchdowns for no, that's 9. Sorry. 9. Told you what I'm at.
Hey, this is an Eastern Illinois Panther team, guys, that has not given up more than 42 all season.
In a game?
Yeah.
Or a half?
In a game.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, this is their season's over with the exception of this. This is going to be their last game.
That's their money game.
Yeah, they're just going to relax and play carefree.
Yes. Yes, that'll be big. It'll be huge.
63
They
nothing.
do
I like
have a
that.
player from Tuscaloosa, by the way.
Do they?
Listen to all this
One
knowledge
of their
Rodney's dropping on us.
We're learning about him as we
No,
speak.
I remembered that. They do have a linebacker from Hillcrest. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and when I said that about Garoppolo and Romo, of course you guys know that's where those
Yeah.
guys played.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they've had some players.
Yep. Just not this year.
Well, they had a tougher schedule.
All right, Rodney. I know our schedule. I appreciate. I think. What did I tell you? Tuesday with us. Is that right?
Tuesday at noon.
Yep. Tuesday at noon.
Tuesday at noon.
Rodney will be with us Tuesday at noon, since next Thursday is Thanksgiving. Well, Rodney, enjoy a nice, quiet weekend on Tighter Insider. I'm sure nothing will upset anybody. It'll be clean, smooth sailing this weekend on the message
That's
boards.
right.
Well, we certainly hope so. Because you're talking about a meltdown if it's close.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that would be. All right. Well, Rodney, enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next Tuesday at noon.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
care.
Rodney.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rodney.
it very much. Rodney Orr joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. All of our guests join us on that Higginbotham Hotline, because Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and, of course, HR services.
Southern gentleman Brett Norsworthy talking Ole Miss coming up at 11:30. So just over 10 minutes from right now. But next we'll get to your text. A lot of text coming in on the Jocks text line. It's a Thursday edition of 3-Man Front on Jocks.
11:21 here on Jocks. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we will talk to Brett Norsworthy from WHBQ Radio in Memphis, also a member of the Ole Miss Radio Network.
Jocks text line is open, 205-834-9450. Traction for Maction and three-man front in our show going up there and trying to hit as many MAC games next season as we can. Maybe in one night, maybe make it a 2-day deal, but we got people that are signing up. These are our great Jocks listeners. Lee from Cincinnati said, I would gladly donate my time and my Class A CDL to drive the bus for the entire crew for the Maction Quest. Maction Quest.
That's what it's all about right there, folks. People stepping up, making things happen.
I did think of a catchy name, but that would only be if we had the NetJets or the private jet, and we call it Tarmaction.
Maybe David Upton could fly us up. And Craneworks could sponsor it.
Is he plane or helicopter or both?
Both.
Maybe we could knock out the skydiving too while we're doing that. Have you? No.
I want to go skydiving.
Maybe
Yeah, no, that's on my bucket list, really.
Maybe I can borrow the keys to Senator Feinbaum's jet.
Wait a minute. Huh?
What?
What?
Did I say something?
Is there breaking news? I didn't hear the cue.
About a plane?
Yeah. About Conrad skydiving.
Yeah, that's what
Without
you were
pants.
talking about. Yes, that's part of the deal for the toy drive, right?
Sure.
While eating a bowl of cranberry.
Yeah, I would actually want to do that because that's been on my bucket list. I was supposed to go skydiving actually, and then I fell down a cave, so I couldn't go. But I
Did the
really
next best thing.
was supposed to go, and then that happened.
Do you remember the Cheers episode where they're all up in the plane?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And they were debating on skydiving. Good stuff. Good time. Mac Quest is the perfect name, says someone. Thank you. Drake says, enjoyed talking to my guy Dave Waters last night on the Gators Breakdown podcast. Well, we're going to talk to David today.
Yeah, 1:30.
He always brings it. Big Maction, Max Maction. Those are names submitted. Thank you, Posey.
I like that one. All good ones.
And other listener. And Brandon asked the question, why has Arkansas not hired Dan Mullen yet? Seems like the best available for that job.
Isn't UNLV like 8-2 or 9-2, something like that right now? If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
You could have told me they were 2-9.
Let me take a gander. I believe that's their record. He's done a really good job.
Let's see. UNLV, they are 8-2. Who do they have left? They get Hawaii and at Nevada.
Cross-state rival.
Yep. I think Dan's probably good there. All right. Appreciate the text. Keep them coming in. 205-834-9450. From your text, we go to Conrad's world. What's going on in that big brain of his? This is Conrad's Fantasy Corner.
This is Conrad's Fantasy Corner
This
because
is
the computer is not working right
Conrad's
now.
Fantasy Corner.
Yeah, sorry, we don't have the fun music to go
No, do
underneath
the music. You do the music. Hold on. Oh, just go ahead. Start your thing.
All right, let's get into some fantasy football stuff. Wow, this computer is really fried right now. That's not good. Let's get into what we have coming up.
Real-time live radio.
For another great week of NFL football action here on the Fantasy Corner. So we do have football tonight, Bills and Texans. We'll get to that one here in just a second. But your bye weeks for this week, we currently have, let's see, the Broncos, Chargers, Commanders, and Dolphins. Those are going to be the four teams that you have on bye this week. And looky there. How wonderful is that? The music is back. And so those are your four teams, Broncos, Chargers, Commanders, and Dolphins, who are going to be on bye this week. Let's also take a look back quickly. This is what we like to do, the top scores last week in fantasy football. Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, he was the leading scorer last week with 42.68 fantasy points, as he had 6 total touchdowns against the Buccaneers, 3 passing and 3 rushing. Incredible day there for Mr. Allen. Christian McCaffrey, second leading scorer for the 49ers there. He had 3 total touchdowns, 120 total yards of offense, good for 35 fantasy points. And then Sean Tucker, the running back for the Buccaneers, who, if you listened last week, I told you to pick him up off of waiver wire. He had 34 fantasy points last week. He had 3 total touchdowns and 140 yards of total offense. So hopefully you picked him up, or if not, you can go pick him up right now if he's still available. All right, starting with the injuries for tonight. 2 big ones to keep an eye out for. C.J. Stroud is going to miss another game as he's coming back from a concussion, so he's out tonight. Davis Mills will be the quarterback for the Texans. And then Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid, he has been ruled out for tonight as well. All right, the big news around the NFL other places injury-wise. We have Joe Burrow finally back at practice this week for the Bengals. He's hoping to return next week. They're going to play the Ravens on Thanksgiving. Joe Burrow hopefully back then. So one more week of Joe Flacco, but good news there to see Joe Burrow close to a return for the Bengals. Now, on the not-so-positive side of things, Michael Penix Jr., he has torn his ACL. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season there for the Falcons, so Kirk Cousins is going to take over the quarterback spot. And unfortunately for Michael Penix, this is his 3rd ACL tear, so it does certainly raise some questions about his future in Atlanta. All right, Drake London, wide receiver there for the Falcons, really had a great season. He's doubtful for this week, so no Michael Penix and probably no Drake London for the Falcons. Not a good look there. Now, I wouldn't suggest this for fantasy purposes, but I know a lot of people are interested in this one because Dylan Gabriel has been ruled out, and that means Shedeur Sanders will be making his first start in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns this weekend against the Raiders. So just something to keep an eye on if you're playing anybody on the Browns offense this weekend. Lamar Jackson, he's banged up again. This time it's the ankle. He's questionable for the Ravens this weekend. Aaron Rodgers, he's questionable. He broke his wrist, but he's hoping to play.
Nah, he's playing. Come on, man.
He's
played Green Bay.
He said he's going to try to play.
He's going to play.
So he's questionable, though. If he doesn't play, Mason Rudolph in. Don't want to touch that. Jaylen Warren, he's questionable, been really good there. Running back for the Steelers, he's questionable, so that's something to keep an eye on. Jackson Dart, Pat's favorite quarterback, trending to return this week after his concussion.
Dang Skippy.
Running first-team reps with the Giants in practice this week, so Jackson Dart looks like he's coming back for New York. At the running back spot, J.K. Dobbins of the Broncos, he got put on IR, so he's out for the rest of the regular season there. That's hurts for Denver. Josh Jacobs, he's listed as questionable this week for the Green Bay Packers. We'll get to that more here at the waiver wire in just a minute. At the wide receiver spot, some big names out this week. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's out again after his appendectomy. Titans have put Calvin Ridley on injured reserve, so his season's done. The Jets have placed Garrett Wilson on injured reserve, but they're hoping he can come back at the end of the season. But let's be honest, why would you? The Jets are terrible. For the Cardinals this week, Amari DeMercado, their running back, he's out. Bam Knight is questionable. So a lot of guys banged up there in the backfield for Arizona. Lions tight end Sam Laporta, he's out. They put him on IR with a back injury this week, so not good for Detroit. And then some guys that are questionable this week, you have David Njoku, the tight end for the Browns. Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, and running back Travis Etienne for the Jaguars. They're both questionable. And then Alvin Kamara for the Saints. He is also questionable. So that's kind of your big injury news for the week. Now let's get to some quick waiver wire additions for you and wrap this thing up. At the quarterback spot, go ahead and add Joe Burrow. He's expected to come back next week. If somebody dropped him when he got hurt, absolutely put Joe Burrow on your roster. Outside of him, I'd go Jacoby Brissett and Sam Darnold. I know he had the 4 picks last week. He's not going to do that again this week. Those are some good QB options. At running backs, Sean Tucker again for the Bucs. Big week last week. Worth an add if he's still available. Emmanuel Wilson for the Packers. He's the backup to Josh Jacobs, so he's worth a play if Jacobs can't go. At wide receiver, we have Colts receiver Alec Pierce, 36 points in the last 2 games there for Indy. A good look there. And then Packers wide receiver Christian Watson had a touchdown last week, certainly worth a look. At tight end, you've got Dalton Schultz of the Texans. He'd be a great play tonight. He's been fantastic for me since I had injuries at my tight end spot earlier in the year. And then for the Seahawks, A.J. Barner had 10 catches for 70 yards last week. So if you're really desperate, maybe a look there. And finally, Molly's favorite part, the defenses. What defenses should you stream this weekend? We got 4 of them. Bills versus the Texans tonight. Texans have been bad offensively. Go with Buffalo. You got the 49ers taking on the Panthers. The Falcons taking on the Saints. And then finally, the Browns taking on the Raiders. Those are all good defensive options for you this week. So that's the Fantasy Football Corner. Good luck, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
All right, coming up next, Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio. He will join the program. We'll get the very latest on what he's hearing on Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. It is 11:34 here on Jocks. Let's get right to it. Higginbotham Hotline. Brett Norsworthy joins us, WHBQ Radio. Brett, thank you for hopping on with us a little bit earlier than normal on Thursday. And a lot of conversation around college football about Lane Kiffin. And you have been very honest with us on this program in regards to what Lane Kiffin has done for that program and whether he's there long-term or he decides that this is it, he's moving on, that you tip your cap. Thank you for your time in Oxford. But is there anything new that you can tell us and the rest of the college football world in regards to where things currently stand with Lane Kiffin?
Pat, thank you for having me. No, I don't think there's anything new. It's just a lot of rehashing, and I think it's going to stay in this holding pattern, and it may stay through next weekend. We know what Thanksgiving weekend, what that does to the coaching carousel. That is affectionately known and a really great guy and really good at what he does. But That's Jimmy Sexton time of year, and he's controlling the market once again. He always has kind of a lead figure in the other ones wanting someone, and that someone this year is Lane Kiffin, and arguably that was Lane once before, with Auburn search, and I think it ends very much like it did around that time, that he stays at Ole Miss, and a lot of CAA clients get a really great job. Look, when you establish the market as 12, 13, 14, whatever the number is out there, the high number, and then if you don't necessarily get that guy, then that agent, whatever agency, whoever it is, could go to that AD, and that AD goes, now I was paying that for we wanted, and that agent can say, no, that's the new market established. You're paying that or close to that for this guy, and that's what happened at Auburn with Coach Hugh Freeze and some other jobs in that carousel, and I feel like this one will play out the same way. But it has been something to watch all the reporting, and I love when Lane categorically shot down the ultimatum stuff. Look, I know Keith Carter really well. I guarantee you I know him better than a lot of people that are referencing him and talking about him. And while Keith can be forceful and is a great leader and has made great hires throughout our department, particularly with Lane Kiffin and Chris Beard, he's not the ultimatum, tell me now or forget about me type person. He just doesn't operate like that. So the ultimatum stuff, I had an Ole Miss friend of mine tell me that today at 11, that he had to 11 o'clock this morning, and at 11:01 his security card would be cut off. Well, it's 11:37, and I would guarantee you Lane Kiffin's security card has not been cut off at that building.
Brett, coaches leave places. A lot of times they're asked to leave. Sometimes they voluntarily leave and they go to other jobs because they don't have certain things in the current job they're in. It seems like Ole Miss has given Lane Kiffin everything that he has asked for. So if he were to leave and go to, let's just say, LSU, besides history, I get that, but besides that, what does LSU have that Lane could possibly be seeking that he can't get at Ole Miss?
I really don't know right now on this date, on November 20th, 2025, in the construct that we're dealing with in college football. If with your question, you throw out history and you throw out the size of the stadium and you throw out Billy Cannon and you throw out Joe Burrow and you throw out Jaden Daniels, now that's a lot to throw out. But you throw out all that history and that stadium size and that brand today, I don't know what it is, because last year LSU swam in the deep waters of the NIL and the portal. I mean, Brian Kelly would say, we got everybody we wanted on defense, and I thought they got the very best player in the portal last year in Barry and Brown, and he really hadn't done very much this year. And I know Ole Miss wanted him; everybody wanted him last year in the portal. So I don't think in today's brand of football it's changed that much. And going forward, even with the House settlement, Landrum, I don't think it has changed that much. And I've heard the Ole Miss, the stadium size just really get knocked around. 64,000 seat stadium. Well, for the Georgia game last year and for the South Carolina game this year, that weekend, last year against Georgia and this year against South Carolina, our stadium crowd that was squeezing a lot more people in there, that got up to around 68. We know sometimes those numbers have a huge fudge factor. Okay, everybody kind of does that, but I think it was legit 66, 67. That was bigger than 6 different NFL crowds that weekend. Yes, I know we have these 100,000 seat stadiums in the SEC in those towns, and those people can support it. Oxford by day is 26,000 people with a student population of about the same. So 52,000 people. Why in the world? I mean, there's no market forces ever demanding a 100,000 seat stadium in what is by day, except for 7 football weekends a year, is a little old bitty town. I mean, it's Mayberry, most of the time. And then on football weekends it comes alive. But boy, it has really been knocked around. And there were a lot of cheap shots yesterday. I mean, that Stephen A. Smith to bring that stuff up. That is just one of the lower blows ever.
So I hate to put your feet to the fire, but you can handle it. will we have some form of resolution one way or another before the Egg Bowl next week, whether he is staying, whether there's a statement, or whether there's something that's leaked out that potentially that's his final game?
Pat, I don't know that we do. I sure wish we would, and it would make for a lot more fun. Egg Bowl, and it's going to be wild at it. You know, I went to an Egg Bowl one year that the winning coach and the losing coach got fired after the game.
Sure did.
So I don't think that would occur this year. And playing Jeff Lebby, we know it's going to be a fun game. I don't know, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. I sure wish it would be, but I don't think it will be. No.
I said, Coach Brett. I've maintained that Lane Kiffin, I didn't think he was going anywhere. Now, I will admit that my confidence has wavered just a little bit here in the last couple of days with some of the things that have been reported. But if there was a option B, because Pat mentioned that some of the Ole Miss folks that he had communicated with yesterday, they did believe it was now an Ole Miss LSU race, if you want to call it a race. Do you believe that, Brett, that it's just LSU and then Florida would be a distant third or not even in the picture?
I do believe that. I believe not even in the picture any longer. And boy, weren't they a charming bunch to be around last weekend in Oxford, the first time they really hit town since 2007, Tebow's winning Heisman year in 2020 when we played them in COVID. You know, it was so restrictive, and that was the first game of the year, September 26, 2020. You know, we didn't have 15,000 people in the stadium that day, if that. You know, because we couldn't. It was so limited. You know, it was the dumbest chapter in American history with people sitting outside in the bright sunshine with a mask on. But we got through that. And we listened to all the right experts and all the right schools then, and all the right .comers then. But I do think, Landrum, it has developed into just LSU, and Florida's going to get them a good coach. But boy, that has been one more preachy-fied bunch, and they love running through their resume and telling you what all they've won. Well, I know they've won all that, but I also know over 10 coaches in the last 60 years, 2 of them have accomplished that. That's 20% hit rate. The rest of them have not. I can go through it: Ray Graves, Doug Dickey, Charlie Pell, Gary Darnell, Galen Hall, Will Muschamp, Jimmy McElwain, now Ron Zook, with Dan Mullen, and now with Billy Napier. So 2 have hit big, and 8 have not hit anything.
Brett, before we let you go, I wanted to ask your thoughts on Hunter Yurachek. He is now the chairperson for the college football playoff. He is also the acting athletics director for the University of Arkansas. Now, does Hunter Yurachek have time to deal with the CFP based on the fact that he can't find a football coach for his university?
Well, it's everything about it is just so rich. We've had 3 college football playoff chairs over the last calendar year. We had Ward Manuel, who was just grossly incompetent. We had Mack Rhodes and whatever he's involved in. And now we got Hunter Yurachek. That's the best and brightest out there in the college football world. But it really speaks to that university culture of, we don't get the best, but we always make sure they land softly. It's always safe landings for them. There's really no results from them. Hunter Yurachek is trying to tell me how to identify a good college football team. How in the world would he know what a good team look like?
These are great questions. You're on a roll. Brett Norsworthy continuing to join us, radio host there in Memphis, WHBQ, also a part of the Ole Miss Football Radio Network. Auburn job, all signs point to John Sumrall. Your thoughts on the filling of that and what you feel like Auburn needs at this time?
I think Auburn would be just getting a home run hire, maybe the best hire on the day that he's hired. Maybe Tuberville, but back to Coach Pat. Back to Coach Pat Dye, and I draw very similar comparisons to Coach Dye. Coach Dye had gone out and won at Wyoming, had won at East Carolina, was a SEC guy, wasn't an Auburn guy, but was an SEC guy. In fact, a player for one of their big rivals. John Sumrall has won at Troy. He has won at Tulane. He's the SEC guy, but not at Auburn, but at Kentucky, but from the state of Alabama. I mean, he knows this part of the country, and he's a tough guy, and he's a fun guy. He was a linebackers coach at Ole Miss for 3 years. He was hired by Coach Freeze, and then everything that went down that summer, he ended up being the linebackers coach for 3 years for Coach Matt Luke, and he did a great job and was so much fun to be around. I'll be pulling like heck for him and hope he gets it. Thought he handled yesterday and swatting away Florida really well. But he's got to weigh it. Kentucky is his beloved school, but I don't know that Kentucky makes a change. You know, if Coach Stoops wins one of these last two or both of them against Vandy or U of L, I don't think they move away from him. He stays, and John Summerall doesn't get to go back to his college home. But from Huntsville, he knows Alabama well. They would be getting a 5-star gold medal winner.
All right, Brett, you have been on an incredible run on this program. The I Ain't Scared bold prediction last week, you said take South Carolina and the points.
I wrote it all weekend. Thank you, Brett.
And Texas A&M, and my goodness gracious, they almost pulled the straight-up win. We're excited. What do you have in store for us today?
Hit the music, Conrad. I thought I had that one at halftime. We were texting, and little Shane just celebrated too quickly. Shane, there's two halves. It's 4 15-minute quarters. The first quarter, the second quarter, halftime, and then you got to play the third and fourth quarter, and they didn't play in the third and fourth quarter. But I got there with my points, but I didn't get there straight up. I'm now 9-4, 5 straight up, and I'm going to go with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Not straight up, but to keep it close like they've kept a lot of games close all year in the SEC, plus the 9.5 to go into Austin. It's not the big shootout. It's not even big shootout 2. And it's not even my freshman year when Arkansas won 42-11 on my favorite day of college. But Arkansas scares the daylights out of Texas Saturday in Austin.
What a great pick. Brett likes Arkansas plus 9.5. He's 9-4 on the year. I Ain't Scared bold prediction. Partner, enjoy the rest of the day and the weekend. I'll chat with you a little bit later this afternoon, but as always, we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Brett.
And I'll be with you guys next Wednesday at noon, the day before eating season really starts.
That's right. Sounds good. Thanks, Brett. Have a good weekend.
You got it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. That is Brett Norsworthy, man. Oh, man.
So good.
Incredible. All right. This is Three Man Front. We have audibleized at the line. We have audibleized Rob Pate, noon. He'll join us. We want some time with Rob.
Yes.
So Rob will join us coming up in 12 minutes. This is Three Man Front on a Thursday on Jocks. Former Auburn DB Rob Pate will join the program coming up in just a couple of minutes. We wanted some extended time with him. In the 1 o'clock hour, we'll find out what's going on from the Florida perspective with the coaching search. Scott Strickland still trying to find a head football coach. One thing's for sure. We talked a lot about the Lane Kiffin deal down in Louisiana. Matt Moscona from ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge, he did a podcast yesterday in which he said that LSU is willing to go up to $16 million if necessary to get Lane Kiffin. Not saying that that's what it's going to take, but I think LSU is saying, hey, look, I mean, if this is the guy we've identified, then we are willing to go as far as we possibly can to make that happen. It's also interesting to note that according to Las Vegas, Lane Kiffin is now the leading candidate for the LSU job. It is no longer Nick Saban. Remember, Nick Saban was 2-1 odds about a week ago, and you had everybody crowing about, oh, yeah, well, if Las Vegas is getting that number from somewhere, Nick Saban's got to be interested. Got to be, right? Well, he is now 4th on the list, according to Las Vegas, for that job. Lane Kiffin is plus 300, followed by Joe Brady, John Summerall, Nick Saban, and Jeff Brom.
Like 3 days ago, Kenny Dillingham was the odds favorite for LSU.
Yeah, it's Lane Kiffin now, plus 300.
and Dillingham's not even in the top 5.
So,
Gotta love it.
So Matt Moscona.
Very fluid, Conrad.
So 2 hours ago, Matt Moscona tweeted, these odds have shifted a bit in the last few weeks, but Lane Kiffin is now the betting favorite for the LSU coaching job. He just tweeted this moments ago. He says, for what it's worth, not having Drinkwitz on the list is more surprising than Lane at the top. Drink is very much in play if LSU misses on Kiffin. So Drinkwitz is not on the Las Vegas betting board, but according to Matt Moscona, that if they miss on Lane Kiffin, that Drink will be in play for the LSU job.
I would love, we got a lot of LSU folks that listen to the show. I would love on the text line 205-834-9450 to get their reaction if Eli Drinkwitz was named the next head coach at LSU. Because I can gather from his name being mentioned for the Auburn job when there was speculation and apparently he and Cohen had a sit down, the reaction, for the most part, it was not favorable. I don't know if that was personality, if that was record, if that was a combination of both.
When you're 0-18 against teams that have won 5 or more games in the SEC since you've been at Mizzou, that's a problem. But maybe LSU's ready to overlook that if they can't get Lane. Rob Pate, former Auburn DB, joins us next.